What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Movies podcast. I'm your host, Brian Drolet. And today on the show, you guessed it, another dear friend of mine, a filmmaker, producer, actor, entrepreneur. Please help me welcome Jordan Eubanks. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Good to be on the show.
Yeah, you know, I've been interviewing some people. I know you're a busy guy, but I know you're a huge fan of movies. Spoiler alert, Jordan and I have been best friends for many years. We met in an audition room for a TV show. We've been on programs together, but we've both always shared a love for movies. And in fact, on our road trip out here, we came up with a movie, didn't we?
Yeah, Two Dudes in a Dream.
Two Dudes in a Dream, currently available on Amazon.
Right.
Where did your love of movies begin?
I think like two of my first movies that I loved were, they're kind of opposite ends of the spectrum, right? It was A Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
And Fried Green Tomatoes.
Really?
Yeah, I always use that movie
Wow.
as an example. I don't know if I was just in love with Mary Louise Parker.
I would have pegged him as a gladiator guy. I've known this guy 20 years. He's hitting me with fried green tomatoes?
Yeah. It's weird. It's like I saw, first The Wizard of Oz. I saw The Wizard of Oz as a young kid, and I remember just thinking my mind was blown. It was such a cool journey and an adventure that they went on. And it just got my love going for all of that. So that's when I got involved in theater, doing plays. And then when I got a little older, my mom started taking me down to Screen Gems, Finn Cannon down in Wilmington, North Carolina. So I actually was an extra in A Walk to Remember.
Oh, no way.
Actually, I had a line in one of the scenes where I raised my hand, and Shane West, it's in the part where he comes late to class in the cast, and they're taking a role in the class. And I raised my hand, and I'm like, I can't remember if my name was Chad or something, but I have
You look like a Chad. I
said
see you
here,
as a Chad.
right? Obviously, it was cut, right? Because that's what happens in films.
That's show business, folks.
Cut a lot of stuff, but it just blossomed from there. Just being on set, seeing that as in a high school, and then watching movies, I was like, this is what I want to do.
So you saw Fried Green Tomatoes. You're like, that's it.
That's it, right? Right when Chris O'Connell got hit by that train, it had me.
So what was your first experience even attempting to get into that world? I know you said your mom brought you to Screen Gems. You were an extra. So how did you go from that to on a set, making your own movies, acting in them, for people that are curious how to get into the business?
Yeah, so that's all my high school, right? And then after high school, I also had a love for baseball. So I played 1 year of college baseball. But even while I was doing that, I just felt mentally and my heart was somewhere else. So I had made relationships back early on. I think I was probably in the 9th grade. We did IMTA, the model talent scout,
okay,
right?
right?
And I had gone to New York and I met Mike Lyons.
He's an agent at a commercial agency.
Yeah, the Lions Group. Well, it was at that time. So as soon as, in college you have to work out. So I was in pretty good shape. And so I literally had the guy's number. I called Mike Lyons and I said, hey, I'm playing baseball. I don't know if you remember me. And he was like, send me some photos of you. I sent him photos and he was like, when can you get here? So it was pretty quick. So I moved to New York, I would say within about 4 or 5 months after wrapping my freshman year of college baseball.
So how did it go from, something where you're, doing modeling or you're, doing commercial type stuff and to making your own stuff?
Well, that happened after we met with Damage Control. We came out here on a road trip.
Damage Control was a TV show. We did 5 to 7 episodes for MTV. It was like a prank show. So after that, we moved out here. And I guess with Two Dudes in a Dream was where it all began. That was just, again, an idea. We were the two dudes with the dream. And, we always wanted to be the Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. We wanted to make our own projects. And, I've been grateful to have a co-pilot in this journey, someone like yourself. And but I've talked about a lot of those projects. So I want to get to know, now as a viewer, What are some movies, for instance, what was a movie you saw this year that you absolutely loved?
This past year, Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, great
Maverick.
movie. Yeah, I
Maverick
talked about that with Hoyt.
Unbelievable.
Great movie, right?
It was unbelievable. But and also it comes down to technology too. So like, obviously Top Gun in the '80s was really cool, but it was more of like an '80s campy kind of movie. But with what we can do with cameras today with drones, I mean those action sequences in that film were incredible. And then when you get the story right and you combine all that together, I mean it's just you're in for a hit.
Yeah, no, I as I said, I was telling them, Hoyt and I were talking about a couple episodes. You guys got to check out Top Gun Maverick. Jordan, what would you say is a movie you saw this year that really disappointed you?
Disappointed me, I'd say Thor: Love and Thunder.
Okay, Thor: Love and Thunder.
Okay, so I was a big fan of Thor Ragnarok.
All right.
Thor Ragnarok is up there as one of my favorite Marvel movies.
Those movies are hilarious. Yeah.
And Thor: Love and Thunder, I like the movie, but I just think I actually could say that Marvel as a whole in Phase 4, so whatever's come out this year, they haven't been as great as the first three
And this
phases.
is coming from an enormous Marvel fan, by the way. This guy is huge.
Yeah, I watch them all.
So I'm glad I'm getting this recorded right now, because
Yeah.
this is blasphemy. I've never heard him say it. I didn't like WandaVision. He's like, it's great.
Oh, WandaVision was great.
It lost me.
Loki. Some of the shows now are a little.
But to hear you saying anything about Marvel, I'm glad that you're being an honest critic.
I mean, come on. How many films are they in? 20, 25, 30 films. Eventually, there's got to be some fatigue that happens, especially when you have one or two or three main guys steering the ship.
Yeah.
You know, your creativity can wane, and maybe you want to go elsewhere. But I still think, having said all of that, they're phenomenal
They're
movies.
great. Even their bad movies are
Yeah.
better than most people's
Exactly.
good movies. And I will say with Thor: Love and Thunder, a big problem I had with that movie was the cancer subplot. And I guess it's from the comic.
Comics, it's from the comic,
but to me, it was just so sad. And as someone who's gone through enough drama in my own life, it was like, can Thor just get the girl? Like, is that so? It's like this fun, silly movie, but then just she's dying of cancer and he's gonna be left alone. Why? So that, and I get it. It adds a level of realism, but I don't know. For that movie, I would have rather just went on the ride. Had
Thor
fun.
Ragnarok, go on a crazy adventure, like Guardians of the Galaxy type movies and stuff. However, having said that, it was still a good movie. It wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
It wasn't the Eternals. The Eternals was
the Eternals, I think, will go down as the worst Marvel movie of all time. I mean,
in my opinion. Listen, whoever created it, I don't like to call anything bad because we know how hard it is to create a movie. But the Eternals was one that I didn't particularly like. Yeah,
very bad movie. I couldn't even finish it. It felt like an eternal tea trying to watch it. The Eternals was bad, but Marvel hits more than they miss. What do you think of James Gunn leading up DC, the DC?
I think it's a good choice. I mean, I've loved all the Guardians. We just saw the holiday special. It was good. And James Gunn did the second Suicide Squad, or he did the first one, didn't he? I think he did the second Suicide Squad.
I think he did the second one. I think the first one was the one everybody didn't like.
Yeah. So the second one was much better.
Yeah, with the starfish monster. So weird. But I guess in a fun way.
I think Warner Brothers had to make a decision because Marvel is so far ahead of you. You can't catch up to that. So I think you just have to hire a couple people, put them empower them, and all right, let's do a 30-year plan.
Yeah.
And start rolling it out slowly but surely.
Yeah. It's a lot. I mean, it's 10 years of story. What are your opinions on Henry Cavill? Is he in? Is he out? Do you think they're going to keep him? Do you think they're going to replace him?
Henry Cavill, I liked him as Superman. I didn't love him as Clark Kent. And it's only because Christopher Reeve's Clark Kent was so good.
So
charming.
Yeah.
He was just so likable, and he embodied that goofiness that Clark Kent had.
Sure.
And Henry Cavill, he's just good looking. Even when you put glasses on him, he's just a good looking
He doesn't have the
dude.
goofy Clark Kent thing. He's
doesn't.
too. It's like putting glasses on a bodybuilder. You know,
It's like Christopher Reeves almost got away with it because of how goofy he was. And his personality did not match.
It was an unpopular opinion. I always used to say I feel like Ashton Kutcher would have made a good Superman because he's so goofy.
Yeah.
I would have bought him as Clark Kent, and I could have seen him. I mean, I feel like Christopher Reeve and Ashton Kutcher have like a similar energy, but just Christopher Reeve was such a good actor. He did a good job of kind of becoming the stoic Superman. So I don't know if old Kelso would have done it, but hey, I was rooting for you there, buddy.
yeah. But so yeah, I don't know.
Are there any actors that come to your mind that you think would play a good Superman?
A good Superman. Maybe. It's funny. It's like I want to just get in the Clark Kent stories and stuff like that, but you could maybe go old with Superman. Maybe an older Superman might be cool. Maybe like a buddy comedy or a buddy movie with old Batman and old Superman.
So there's no actor that pops in your head when you think
that's what I'm thinking.
Superman.
Superman. I remember those Ian Somerhalder and all those guys. They kind of look like what we think.
Too pretty
Superman.
boyish, I think. I think.
I don't know. Who's a goofy-looking actor? Or not goofy-looking, but
I mean, John Krasinski. You gave him some
There you
blue,
go.
some blue
There you go.
contacts. He probably would have been
John
a good.
Krasinski is actually he's Jim, but then A Quiet Place on You.
Yeah,
or
exactly,
Jack Ryan.
yeah.
Jack Ryan.
Yeah, there you go.
So you know what? John Krasinski could be Superman.
There you go. You know what
Let's
I mean?
get that going.
Let's get that
John
going.
Krasinski as Superman.
Well, speaking of John Krasinski, the Quiet Place movie's phenomenal. Are they making another one? What's going on? Did they make a second one? I can't
They
remember.
did. And
Did it come out? Did we watch it?
yeah, it was great.
Why can't I remember that?
The second one, well, I don't want to give anything away. Well, I guess there's no spoilers here. He's dead in the second one, right?
Oh, right.
And
It's very quiet in this one. Very quiet.
But I think the rumor is that the third one, he's back. I think he's writing, directing, and he's in it because it's going back. And I think Lupita is also in it, and it goes back to like when it first happened.
Oh, very cool. It's like a prequel.
Exactly. So right when it went down.
That's why you want to be the writer-director. You're like, hey, I'm alive in the third one, by the
Exactly.
way. Okay, we're going back in time. Nobody can tell you nothing. Just keep collecting that paycheck, huh?
Right.
Yeah, no, John Krasinski's, I mean, it's amazing for somebody to have that, like, lightning in a bottle acting career on a hit show like The Office, and then your first movie that you write and direct is just a smash hit. Everybody loves it. The guy is absolutely crushing it. Are there any other filmmakers that come to mind, like a John Krasinski or anybody that you kind of gravitate toward or really like?
Yeah, I always get kind of excited for Christopher Nolan movies.
Oh, and he's got the new Oppenheimer coming out.
Yeah, I just love what he does. And I mean, like for instance, like Tenet, I wasn't crazy about Tenet, but Tenet was a masterpiece in a sense of like what he does. So he just kind of goes the distance. And what I mean by that is like James Cameron with Avatar. I know that's coming out soon, or it's going to be already out when this airs. Maybe they don't give you the best emotional story, right? But they're blowing your mind in visuals, sound. Everything else is a masterpiece, and that's what I kind of love about Christopher Nolan. He's really big.
Well, I'm just impressed how the guy barely uses CGI. I mean, I think I read something recently in Oppenheimer. They did some sort of special effect with like an explosion or something with the sun. I don't know. It was crazy, and they did it with no CGI.
That's wild.
And everybody was like saying, and it's true. I mean, if you can accomplish something without, because we all know when you're watching, even in the third Batman movie, when the stadium explodes, you're like, or the Joker's face, you know it's taking you out. This is clearly CGI.
But when he flipped that 18-wheeler in The Dark Knight,
so much more badass.
that was unbelievable.
Hit me!
Yeah, and that was real. So, yeah, I love Christopher Nolan.
Did you like the new Batman with Robert Pattinson?
Oh, yeah, loved it.
Phenomenal movie,
Loved
huh?
it.
Gorgeous
Loved
cinematography.
how dark it was. Dark, yeah, absolutely. I love the Russo brothers. I like The Gray Man. I thought it was entertaining. I loved the drone shots in that movie. There was so much drone stuff in that movie.
I wish I had a drone here.
I love
guy's
drones.
a big fan of drone shots. I got to next time I interview.
I actually think well, obviously I'm sure they're already doing it, or probably have already done it, to shoot an entire movie on a drone.
Yeah, I know you'd said that. So I'm gonna when I come back to interview next time, I'm like, is the movie done? Is it in the can? Did we get it to the editors?
Right.
So what are some things that you've worked on recently as a creator? It doesn't have to be a movie. Is there anything you're excited about? Anything you want to share with the audience?
So we worked on Stupidity.
Yes, we did. You tell them about it. This is your interview, you know.
Well, so first of all,
forget about me, all right?
So first of all, I look at Brian as like my brother, but also like creative partner. So anytime I have an idea, I know that he's just going to take it and make it better. And I hope that I also do the same with him. Like him and I, we work good together. We just anytime we have ideas, we just are always like, hey, what about this? What about this? What about this? And there's no shortage of ideas from us.
Well, Jordan came up with Stupidity, which was a shoe puppet idea. He's like, what about a TV show where the sneakers in a shoe shop come to life? We call it Stupidity. And next thing I know, we had a pitch meeting to Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
So that's something that we'll see what happens there. Anything else? I mean, I know you're an artist. Why don't you tell them about Wall Kicks?
Oh yeah, so Wall Kicks have a sneaker business. Well, him and I, we work together a lot, Brian.
I feel like I'm just trying to plug my own things through you. Yeah, tell them about all your stuff.
So we have a business called Wall Kicks where we do sneaker art. So you hang them on your wall. So like all the shoes that you can't get, which is so many shoes. Put art on the wall because you and I are artists. We've been painting them. That's just another thing that we kind of had in common. And so Wall Kicks.
And since this is the Let's Talk Movies podcast, there is a movie that we have been developing for some time now that involves, it's for sneakerheads. We can say that, right? We don't want to give away the premise because the listeners are going to write it down, they're going to steal it. Next thing you know, we're out of business.
Right.
And you're like, why'd you invite me on the podcast? I'm like, my bad.
Right. we have that going, a sneaker movie, and then we're also working on another one that involves kind of our past. When we did The Hills.
Yes, Jordan was on The Hills with me, or I should say I was on The Hills with him. So guys, that's I think available right now on Netflix, so you can check Jordan and I out there. But
season one, season one.
There might be a film that we do that pokes fun at that experience. But let's now. What I would like to ask you is, what is a movie? Okay, you can't say Avatar 2 because and I know it's tough. It's not fair to you because that's what every guest has said in the last couple of weeks. Yeah. What's a movie coming out in the future that you're very excited about?
Movie that's coming out in the future that I'm very excited about. Okay, definitely Joker 2.
Oh, right. They just released the image too.
100%.
That was such a good movie, Joker, and I have no clue what they're going to do storyline-wise. I know it involves Harley Quinn, and isn't it like apparently a musical?
The Whale. I want to see that.
What's The Whale?
Brendan
Fraser. The Whale. With
Whale, yeah.
Yes. That's
Brendan Fraser. That's already out, I think.
Yeah, that looks really good.
But yeah, I'm a comic guy. I'm a Batman, like Superman, so I'm excited to see all the Phase 5 and Ant-Man and all of that stuff. But I kind of like all movies. Like I can get up for No Country for Old Men, more artistic pieces that kind of leave you like questioning, like, what did I just watch? Questioning the ending, or something like Four Christmases, just a comedy.
Yeah, you love Four Christmases.
I love Four
Great
Christmases.
Great movie. I actually talked about that on episode 1 now that I think about it.
Yeah, so I love them all. I love all movies. There's not really, I would say, a genre of movies that I don't particularly like. I think comedy's in a weird place.
Yeah, it's hard to do a comedy nowadays. Nobody wants to offend anybody, so filmmakers right now are scared to do a comedy about anything because at the end of the day, comedy is making fun of things.
Yeah.
So with that notion, it's hard to do anything, and I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying people are gun shy with putting money behind movies right now that are comedies, so you got to stick to more horror movies. We actually saw a horror movie recently, Smile. What did you think of Smile?
I thought Smile was financially a huge success. Right?
Okay.
I think they made that movie.
You didn't love the movie.
No, I thought that it gave way too much away in the trailer. I mean, it literally gave everything away in the trailer.
You knew all those smiles were coming.
Exactly. Yeah, really. But the horror movies, The Barbarian. Now that was a good horror movie.
Yeah, I've talked about that as well, and people go
Bodies,
both ways.
Bodies.
Oh, Bodies. I haven't talked about that.
Bodies. Remember, we were watching this and we were kind of scratching our head.
Bodies is a movie that, you ever watching a movie and you're like, if this doesn't end a certain way, or if this doesn't get me with the ending, I'm going to be pissed that I just sat through all this.
And boy.
And we were kind of looking at each other going, and then all of a sudden, I will say, very satisfying ending, and really made the movie. Wouldn't you agree?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely. That to me, I'm not saying the movie was a C or anything like that, but let's just, for the purpose of this conversation, if it was a D, it became an A- with the ending.
Yeah.
It was so good.
The ending made the movie for sure.
Absolutely.
Pete Davidson's really funny in it. The guy's apparently dating every hot girl in the world and starring in good movies. So good for him. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's interesting too, because there's a few things in the plot and with like the cast where you're just like, why is this like this and why is this? But it kind of all makes sense at the end, and it was like a twist on the genre that I hadn't seen in a while, and I always love a good twist.
Yeah, horror movies is like the thing to make. Like people, there are die-hard horror movies. Matter of fact, I think people love bad horror movies. Like there is a massive audience for terrible horror movies.
It's true. It's very true.
I mean, we tried watching, what was it, The Gifter. Remember
what?
that?
Oh, you're the Terrifier. Yeah.
The Terrifier 2.
Oh, that movie's making millions of dollars. It's killing it.
Dude, it was made for like $250,000, $300,000, and it's made millions and millions and millions of dollars. And we tried to watch the first like 10 minutes, and we were like, "Yo, I don't know, dude.
I was like, I can't watch this movie."
Yeah, it was
terrified.
brutal. It was brutal.
It was a pretty brutal movie. So let me ask you this: what's your favorite movie of all time?
Favorite movie of all time.
If you had to pick one. And if you can't whittle down to one, just give me something other than fried green tomatoes.
Yeah, I will tell you, and everybody's all said this. Avatar, to me, just did so much. Like, as an audience person watching Avatar, my mind was blown.
Yeah, I remember.
Now,
same here.
Obviously it's not going to be the greatest story I've ever seen, but my mind was blown at that. So that's definitely up there. I mean, obviously The Dark Knight was phenomenal.
Such a good movie.
Let me think. I know there's a movie that The Gladiator. You mentioned The Gladiator.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Russell Crowe. Guys, a little far from The Gladiator these days.
Yeah, right. There's a lot of movies that are just so good, but I don't know if anything ever blew my mind as much as Avatar did in 2010.
Okay,
right?
Wow, is that how long ago that movie
2009,
came out?
2010, yeah.
Wow.
Blew my mind.
Well, that's what everybody is saying is what they're the most looking forward to, and the new one. So this is the first time I've got the original as someone's favorite movie ever. So I think that's a great answer.
I don't want to say favorite movie ever because I know there's probably a movie that I'm like, oh, that's definitely my favorite movie. But as someone sitting in an audience, I actually went to Universal IMAX 5 times. 5 times.
Five times.
Paid like
Wow.
$25, $27.
Wow.
I took my parents. And the last time my parents had been to the movies was Titanic.
Are you serious?
Their
Only for
minds
James Cameron movies, huh?
Were blown.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Imagine in your 60s having been to a theater.
Yeah, it's like that Dave Chappelle joke when he's like, people will go see a movie like Transformers nowadays and be like, that sucks. Be like, you show that to people 40 years ago, they're gonna be like, that's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. We've become so numb and desensitized because we're so spoiled with so many amazing movies and special effects.
You know what? I just want to say this before we wrap it up. The one thing
what is
that
it?
I love about filmmaking, and this just goes to show you, I love like Dumb and Dumber, right? Dumb and Dumber, hilarious comedy. Have you ever seen when they did that to a horror movie soundtrack? And they made a trailer for Dumb and Dumber.
I think I have seen this,
So
yeah.
to me, that's why I love filmmaking.
Because it's
You
so
can take
delicate
a comedy,
and subtle, yeah.
right? And you can change one little thing and now completely change your perception of what it is.
And that's one of your most favorite things to do when you make stuff is the music,
Oh,
the score.
absolutely. And that's, to me, it's like pre-production I look at as like work. Production's like bliss. Like this is amazing. Post-production is when the fun happens. Like post-production is where it's at because, you know, I'm usually sitting with you or behind you being like, oh yeah, this looks great because he's an unbelievable editor. I'm trying to edit.
He's too kind, this guy. He's too kind.
But that's where, you know, something might not work, but you can, and now it sings.
Yeah, and that's where you're great at. You have an imagination like none other, and it's a pleasure to work with you on movies. Mm-hmm. And I really appreciate you coming on Let's Talk Movies and you know, having a conversation here for the audience.
Oh yeah, so happy you had me.
Happy holidays too.
Merry Christmas.